Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. May I introduce myself? I'm Mr. Romantic. And first of all, I would like to bring the warmest greetings from Europe, from Germany, and from the Romantic Road. First of all, or at second time, I think it's necessary to make a short trip with you along the Romantic Road. I'm afraid not everybody in the room has been there. So when you have a look at the map, the Romantic Road starts in Würzburg, which is the capital of wine Franconia. All these famous Franconian wines are growing there. And then we have vineyards along the Tauber Valley up to Rothenburg. We pass Wertheim at the river Main, which is called Little Heidelberg because of the castle on the hill. We come to Bad Mergentheim, the spa town at the Romantic Road, Weikersheim with its castle. And then we have the medieval cities. Rothenburg, Feuchtwangen, Dinkelsbühl, Nörlingen. These are well-perceived medieval towns surrounded by town walls, gates, towers, and we still have the night watchmen walking around there in the evening. We pass the river Danube, the second longest river in Europe, in Donauwörth, to reach Augsburg, which is the second oldest city in Germany. And then we come to Landsberg along the river Lech, and then we reach the so-called Monk's Corner, the area where we had a lot of cloisters and churches until the secularization in 1806. And we finally reach the King's Corner. And it's called King's Corner. This is the area around Schwangau and Füssen. There we have two buildings, and I think one building everybody all over the world knows. This is Neuschwanstein Castle. And please, ladies and gentlemen, make sure ours is the original one, not this in Disneyland. So the Romantic Road destination and promise, we have a table of content for you. So first we talk about the history. When we talk about the history of the Romantic Road, we have to go back in European or German history. Parts of the Romantic Road from Donauwörth to Füssen are more than 2,000 years old. Augsburg was founded by the Romans. The name was Augusta Vindelicorum, and in the Roman Empire they had streets which were leading to Rome. In the Via Claudia Augusta, the route starts in Donauwörth and went down to the Allgäu Alps, and this part of the Romantic Road is actually more than 2,000 years old. Originally mentioned as a holiday route was the Romantic Road in 1900. This was the time when the painters of the Romance area started to paint pictures of the small cities in Germany, like Rothenburg or Dinkelsbühl. So originally mentioned in 1900 was the Romantic route with the name Deutscher Reiseweg Nummer 1. So then you all know the time Germany wrote a very sad and bad story. After 1945, Germany was lying in ruins. Würzburg was the most bombed town in Germany, even Rothenburg was destroyed. And then in 1948, 4 men came together. These were the Lord Mayors from Würzburg, from Rothenburg, from Augsburg and Füssen. Those towns where we had tourists, since we talk about tourism. And those 4 men, they were sure that between the River Main in the north and the Allgäu Alps in the southern part, there's a piece of Germany like in fairy tale books. And they wanted to reopen this holiday route, but they were sure that they needed a new name because Deutscher Reiseweg Nummer 1 was a very national name. So they discussed how to call this route. Originally they planned to call it Romantic Road for Couples Who Fall in Love. Imagine my name, Wünschenmeyer at Romantic Road for Couples Who Fall in Love. I would need visit cards with an XXL size, so happily they took the short version and reopened the old holiday route in January 1950 with a new name, Romantic Road. In June 1950, we opened our Romantic Road coach line, which is the oldest long-distance coach line in Germany, as there's no train along the Romantic Road. We go back again in history. In 1948, Deutsche Lufthansa started with their services to overseas. In 1949, the German National Tourist Board was founded, and in 1950, the Romantic Road was opened. And Deutsche Lufthansa and the German National Tourist Board, they took the Romantic Road in Canada and North America as a visit card for a friendly, for good old Germany. Back again in history, you know Germany was separated after the war in 4 parts. We had the lucky situation that we were situated in the American zone of Germany, between Frankfurt and Munich airport. All the military bases in Germany were taken over by the Americans, so that means with the beginning of the Romantic Road, for the international markets, the Americans and the Canadians were the number one until the 1980s. Families were founded, relationships, visitors came from the States to Germany, so we had lots of American traveling along the Romantic Road. And then think of the situation, what the people were feeling after World War II. They wanted a new start in Germany, and everybody took his hand and began to work for a new image, for a friendly world. People, they need a vision, and there the idea of the Romantic Road was a perfect thing to identify. Today, we will talk about destination management or tourism marketing, but believe me or not, ladies and gentlemen, these two expressions were completely unknown after World War II. Those four men I talked about, they just had a great idea, and the idea still works. To give you an overview of our status quo, we have actually 6 million of overnight stays every year, about 3 million of day visitors, and as you all know, the number of the FITs is going up, and the number of the group travelers are going down and down. But in some markets, especially in the American and the Asian market, we have a lot of repeaters. Those guests who have been there 10, 20, 30 years ago with a group, they had no time. You know all these Japanese schedules, 5 days for Europe, so some of them, they come back to discover the small cities we have. They all have been to Neuschwanstein, they have been to Berlin or to Munich, and now they discover the small and unknown places. Additional to this, we have not enough hotel rooms along the Romantic Road. That means we have a corridor of 20, 30 kilometers left and right where we fill the hotels. So in this figures, there are not the overnight stays left and right of the route, not the B&B, not the overnights in hotels or guest houses with less than 9 bedrooms. This is the rule in Germany, how we collect the numbers, so it should be a little bit more actually. Coming to our principles, what is our aim? Our aim is to be what we are today. We want to be the number one of the holiday routes, not only in Germany, we want to be the number one worldwide. The situation of the holiday routes in Germany, to give you their overview, the idea of many regions is just open a holiday route and you will get tourists. It will not work, ladies and gentlemen. After 1989, you know what happened there? Germany was reunited. And in Eastern Germany they opened 50, 60, 70, I do not know how many holiday routes to develop the Eastern part. But to open a holiday route is not enough. You have to live the idea. Only this will be a key to success. So the idea of the Romantic Road was copied very often. We are a little bit proud that we were not only copied in Germany, that we have some copies of the Romantic Road in Korea, in Japan, and in Brazil. By the way, as we have always troubles with our name Romantic Road, we registered the trademarks Romantische Straße, Romantic Road Coach, and also Romantische Schiene, which is a railway along the Romantic Road from Feuchtwangen to Nördlingen. Coming to our strengths, we have a lot of medieval cities, and well, after the 30 Years' War, all these small towns, they fell asleep. The economy was down, and so they did not change the site of the towns. The towns were preserved. To give an example, in 1900, the city of Rothenburg, they ordered by law that the site of the town, the houses, all must be preserved, and nobody is allowed to remove old houses to build new. They made a law to protect the city, to keep the charm of this medieval city. And if you look at these pictures like Dinkelsbühl, Rotburg, maybe heard Feuchtwangen or Nördlingen, these are towns which are not so frequent visited like Neuschwanstein or like Würzburg or Augsburg, but I think this is the charm of the Romantic Road, this combination with worldwide known places and unknown places. And this is even a nice reason for repeaters to come in the area. What we else have? We have 3 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. We have the residence in Würzburg. We have the former Roman wall, the Limes in Rothenburg, and we have the Wieskirche, the church in the meadows, which is unhappily not on this picture. What else belongs to our strength? We have, well, we are culinary route. If you look here, we like to eat and to drink. So we have the wine in the northern part, we have the beer, we have the schnapps, and we have very different and authentic kitchens. We have the different regions in Germany. We have Franconia, we have Baden, we have Württemberg, we have Swabia and Upper Bavaria, and the kitchens are very different but authentic. So along the Romantic Road you have really the chance to get in touch with authentic and local food. And this is what many guests like, not only from overseas, only from Germany. To make sure, ladies and gentlemen, 80% of our guests are coming from Germany, Austria and Switzerland. So 20% of all these figures do not speak German, the rest are German European guests. Well, we started with some own marketing activities in all our 29 towns. For example, we started this year with the Day of the Kiss, which was a great funny idea. But also this idea only works if all the towns work together. We in our small office, we can't do this. We need always the cooperation, the helps of our partners and towns. Well, strength, that's the one thing. Weaknesses. Where do we have our weaknesses? The Bavarians, they sell their charm as a tradition. I'm not sure if everybody likes this behavior of the people in southern Germany. So I personally think hospitality and friendliness, this is very important for the guests from all over the world. Times are changing, and it's coming more and more that we do not have to offer the people what they expect. We have to do a little bit more. And this little bit more must not cost us any money. It can be the smile of the receptionist, the smile of the waiter, maybe a little bit water on the table, which is a great problem in Germany. It could also be a smile. What is another problem is that the thought of the cooperation is going down and down and down. The people, the towns, the politicians, they are getting more and more egoistic, and this is not good for a cooperation like the Romantic Road. Which we also have to struggle with is our signage. It is very important for a holiday route to have complete signs so that the guests are not forced to use a map, even as we have maps. And what's also a problem, not only for the Romantic Road, a problem for all the holiday routes in Germany, you are not able to drive a holiday route with a navigation system. We are not in the navigation system, so when you travel along the Romantic Road, never use a TomTom. Use our map and follow the brown signs. I personally promise that you will not lose your way when you travel along these brown signs, but it's a hard work to control this every year because the formal workers who are responsible for the streets, they do not do this as we are a private organization. So the traffic routing is very, very important. We changed our routing within the last 10 or 15 years very often because the landscape in Germany changed. This is the reason why the Romantic Road got a little bit longer. Originally we had 350 kilometers, now we have 460 kilometers. Talking about cooperation, one last thing for this point, we are proud of it that we are the only holiday route in Germany who is an official member of the German National Tourist Board, and I think this shows the situation of the romantic road in the tourism growth in Germany. Our factors for success. As I told you, the landscape in Germany is changing. Parts of the romantic road we had 20 years ago are now roads with 3 or 4 lanes. And believe me or not, you cannot sell a holiday route which compares a highway. 3 or 4 lanes are not allowed for a holiday route in Germany. So 20 years ago, our partners, they had the view of their towns. They wanted only town tourism. And then we started in the 1980s with a cycling lane, and in 2006 with a hiking lane. And when you go for hiking and cycling, you will discover very soon that you have to have some standards between, because the distances along the romantic road are too long for hiking or for cycling. So the tourism directors in Germany, they changed their mind, and now we have a great view of nature, of small villages, of restaurants. Our main themes are nature protection, also the protection of the ancient monuments, and the refuse of avoidance. Which is also very important for us are short ways. We have regional, individual and products which we want to offer to the people. We do not want to offer these average food you get on the highway restaurants along Europe. It's everywhere the same, the quality is bad. We want that they offer in the restaurants regional products, authentic products. By the way, even not only for the food, also for the wine. We have wine along the romantic road which you get only in the Tauber Valley. It's called Tauber Schwarz. It's a kind of red wine which is only growing there on the romantic road. We have a beer produced by the Duke of Oettingen-Wallerstein. It's a romantic road. It's Wickel beer only produced in this small brewery, and this is what we want, that the people get, these authentic and regional products. Factors for success for me personally are emotion, feeling, humanity, and this is what I told you. We should offer not only the guests what they are expecting, we should top it to give the guest a little bit more. Further on, we have a great view of fair treatment with animals, animal protection, and the protection of species, for example the bees, which have great problems actually in Germany to stay on living there. A problem in this case is also the behavior of the German consumer. The Germans, they spend about 10% of their average money for eating and drinking. In Germany, everybody wants to buy cheap food, cheap bread in the supermarkets everywhere. To give you and compare, the French, they spend 40% or more than 40% for eating and for drinking. And this is for me very important, that the Germans change their attitude therefore, and that we have a fair treatment for the animals, we have a fair pay for those who produce the regional products, and we have to make the guests and the Germans clear that they also should use it or buy it, even it's a little bit more expensive. But I think the prices must go a little bit up. We have in Germany some quality criteria for holiday routes. Most important, the first thing you have to answer is the patronage. Who is responsible? Who is responsible for this holiday route? And you need a thematic naming. And this is the problem with the romantic road. What is romantic? If I ask 10 persons in this room, what is romantic? I get 10 different answers. What is the biggest problem of the fairy tale route in Germany? people are coming with the high-speed train, the ICE, to Kassel. They go out and they look for fairy tales. Well, Kassel, you find a Volkswagen, they're produced there, but these fairy tales are not really in Kassel. Easier is for my colleagues from the castle road. Castle road is a clear definition. You go from a castle to a fortress and you find your way. But the word romantic, I'm not very happy, to be honest, that we have this name. It's not a clear definition. So what a holiday route has to do, of course, touristic marketing. As I told you, you need a complete signage, and we have this complete signage in Germany for the route for the cars in brown, which is not very nice, but it's a German regulation. In Germany, green signs are for cycling lanes and blue signs are for hiking lanes. All our lanes are complete signed. We force our towns to keep an information office, a tourist information in every town, because we are in a small office in Dinkelsbühl. We have no contact to the guests, but when the guests come in one of our towns, they get all our brochures and information in the tourist office. This is the duty of the towns. We are responsible for the touristic marketing, and which is very important. The routing of a holiday route must be fixed. There must be a ending point, a starting point, and the routing must be fixed. And as I told you, if you come to Germany and you follow these brown signs, this is my personally quality assurance that you will not lose your way. So I don't know what the time says, but I will go to hurry up. Okay. Over-tourism, this is a word you will hear more and more and more, and if you want to create a region or a holiday route, you just have to answer the question, does the inhabitants want this tourism? Do they want this holiday route, or what do they want to develop the destination? The problem is, if the politicians want to develop a region, and the people do not go with this idea, it will not work. So the politicians and the people, they must work together, and this for years. And during this time, this is most important. If you start, or before you start with an idea, you have to check you have the money for it. You need for a basic financing, well, at least 300,000 euros a year to finance personnel costs, the basic facilities required and provided for 1 year. You have to do some B2B work, B2C work. We do, of course, press activities. We have printed material. We have an internet in 9 languages, actually, but costs a lot of money just for the translations. Social media, which everybody is talking about, costs me personally about 1 or 2 hours a day, additional to all. I love it. So again, the role of the politicians is important. Who are the places, the funding agencies, and are there potential partners for a basic financial situation? To our organizing structure, we are absolutely independent and neutral. For us, it's not important where the guests stay. They stay in Würzburg, Rotenburg, or Füssen. Doesn't matter. For us, it's important that the guests come and that the guests get what they are looking for, maybe a little bit more, but it's important to be independent and neutral, not only for the guests, also for the internal marketing, what we also do. And which may be also useful information for some of you, the structure of the romantic road. We are 29 towns. We meet once a year for our annual meeting where we discuss what we do or what we will do. But every of our partners of our town has one vote. The big city of Augsburg and the small city of Feuchtwangen, for example. Every of our colleagues has one vote. And this is a good thing, it's a democracy, and we have never any discussions. And if these 29 partners decide to draw a decision, we can realize this idea or this project. I get the red sign in the back, so that means I will come to my end. Thank you for listening. we would be very appreciated to meet you next time, maybe at the Romantic Road in Germany. Thank you again and see you later.
他刚有提到那个浪漫大道这件事情，因为它也是名词，也是形容词。我们的副主委也提到，它也是一个生活上的动词，所以他怎么去认定，他怎么样让国际认定说，它变成是世界大家认同的浪漫大道，这个变成一个国际大道，这是第一个问题。第二个要。
I hope that I understand the question right. It was not my idea and not my work. But when tourism starts in the 1950s, it was the time when they had the Volkswagen Beetle, when the Germans went over the Alps to Italy, when tourism developed. The founders of the Romantic Road, they worked hard on it to get the Romantic Road as a label. Like the Black Forest, like the Land of Constance, and especially in the foreign markets. This label, Romantic Road, sold very well, and this was the reason that we got a trademark registered. So the Romantic Road is one of the top 100 destinations in Germany. We have Berlin, we have Munich, we have Heidelberg, we have the Sylt, and we have the Romantic Road. I'm sure that if you go along the Romantic Road and ask people living here, tell me all the towns of the Romantic Road, nobody will answer your questions. And nobody, I think, even here will answer these questions, but everybody heard about it. We have this Cinderella Castle in the Alps, we have the Prince Bishop's residence, we have the medieval cities. I think everybody has a picture, but this is the problem. What I wanted to explain with this word romantic. For the castle road, it's easier. This definition is clear. Romantic it's just a point of view of it. Every person has another view of these romantic sites. It's nature, towns, flowers. The Japanese guests, they love the fields when they are blowing in the spring times when everything is green or yellow. This is the hard thing for us to bring input in the word romantic, but we have some products which we have established for almost 50 years, for example, the historic festivals, where you can get touch in the medieval ages. Of course, we preserve our towns, and I think this is the most important thing for the Romantic Road in Germany. Happily, most of the towns who were destroyed after World War II were reconstructed. And I think if we are able to keep our towns, our buildings, our monuments reserved, there will be a Romantic Road also in 100, 200 and 500 years, because it's really like a view in a fairy tale book. You see all these old pictures, these old houses decorated with flowers, and people spend a lot of time and money to keep these buildings in a wonderful condition. And our state also gives some money, because it's really expensive to restore these old buildings. And if you do this, there's a special department in Germany, and if you get in contact with them and tell you want to restore these buildings, you get also some money from the state, so that you are able to restore your own building and the places you live. And most of the houses in the historic cities, people are living in. They live in, and it's not so comfortable as in a modern villa outside Rotenburg, for example, if you live inside the town wall. If you want to go to bring a box of beer to your house with your car, you will have some problems with Rotenburg is full of tourists all over the day. But people are happy to live there, and I think it's also very charming in the evening when all the tourists are at the restaurant or in the hotels and you have the town for yourself. Then I think you get really a romantic feeling. It is the same. We talk about over-tourism. In Füssen and in Schwandorf, where the royal castles are, they do not want any tourists more. They have enough. 1.3 million visitors of Neuschwanstein, 800,000 people come to take a photo, and there's only one street through Füssen. Nothing more, and everybody comes with a car nowadays. So really lots of tourists. I would not speak from over-tourism, we are happy that they are there, but if you live there, well, you have to calculate more time to go with your car as in other towns. But if you go to Hohenschwandau, where the royal castles are, at 6 o'clock, all the guests are away. At 8 o'clock, when it's getting dark, the castles are illuminated. You are standing there, looking left to Neuschwanstein, right to Hohenschwandau. Then you can imagine why this king built this castle in this place on the earth is so beautiful, and I think you get a very, very charming feeling on your skin when you go there and you have this view for yourself, and you will feel the romantic there.
So my first question will ask Director Jürgen. Thank you very much for today's your wonderful talk. It's quite interesting to understand how you promote this spatial route. And I think this route is a big word because it's combined with different towns and destinations. And I think, and maybe some tourism industries. So I'm curious to understand, during the process, how can you cooperate everything together? Like some point comes from the government side, some point comes from the local side. So in the process of corporations, how can you work together, just combine with the private sector and public sector? Because I'm curious about your position. I guess it comes from the private, I think it's private sector, director of kind of something associations. So I'm trying to understand how can you work together, just incorporate with the private sector and the government side.
The difference between the romantic road and the other holiday routes in Germany is that the people wanted a new life after World War II. They wanted to restore their houses, they wanted peace, and they wanted to get in touch with the Americans which were there. They wanted international guests. In June 1950 they printed the first English-spoken catalogue. Nobody in Germany did this. And this is one of our keys to success, that the people identify with the romantic road, and they are so happy that the romantic road works as a touristic product. In the small towns, people are happy when they see Asian guests there, for example. In Dinkelsbühl or in Nördlingen, they are not so the figures we have at the castles or in Rotenburg. So it's a region where we have not much industry. It was a rural area, the farmers are going down and down. Today it's an industry, like everywhere. And so tourism is a factor of economy. And even with both the cycling and the hiking lane, we get tourists in towns where they had absolutely no tourists 10 or 20 years ago. So the romantic road is a product which is developing, and we get no money from the state. We are a corporation of 29 communities, and we are financed by these 29 communities. That means in January, these towns, they get an invoice from us, and in December we have no money. So this is our system. And the money we get, we discuss every year, but there are no discussions about more and less. If we have special projects, for example, we have to buy to fix new signs for the hiking way in the last 2 years. These were costs of about 40,000 euros, for example. Then these 29 towns share these costs, additional to the money they pay every year regularly. That's the system. Did I get your question? Okay, thank you.